I'm Lisa. I couldn't find my name tag this morning, so I think I'm going to have to go out in the hallway and sign up for another one, because you need to know who I am. I'm going to be telling you a story today, and first I want to thank Joseph for getting these pictures, these images on our PowerPoint last night. At the last minute I thought, you need some pictures to see, and that'll help me tell the story also. Today I'm going to tell you a story about the people in the Bible that were part of what's known as the early church, and how they tried to act the way Jesus taught them to live. And then I'm going to highlight some ways that we do some of the same things here in our church. And after we're done, we're going to go on a little field trip. We're not going to take a bus, but I'm going to show you something. What's behind those panels up there in the balcony? Have you ever wondered about those? Have you wondered what's behind there? We're going to go take a little field trip afterwards. But first, the early church. So can you imagine a time when there weren't even any church buildings? When you think early church, you might think the first church that was ever built. But we're not even talking about a church building. We're just talking about the people. And they were the people who believed in God. They were the early church. So you're going to hear that a lot. This special group of people loved to share. They had a beautiful way of living. If somebody was hungry, they would share their food with them. If somebody didn't have a home, they would invite them in to live with them. And they cared about each other, and everybody had enough. So like in school, for example, this would be an example that you might be able to relate to. In school, what happened to this? Should be the next one. There it is. If the person next to you has a blank piece of paper and doesn't have any crayons to color with or markers or anything like that, what could you do? Yeah, that was a really easy one, wasn't it? You share the crayons with them. And the next one, if somebody was in the cafeteria, I've got it on here too, so they'll be able to see me and they'll be able to show them what's next. If you want to look at my pictures too, then you'll know when to switch the pictures, since this one doesn't work. If somebody's in the cafeteria and they don't have enough food, or they didn't bring the right kind of food, what could you do? Share your food with them. I know different cafeterias have different rules, so you might not be able to do that at your school, but you get the idea. It's about sharing and having enough. In this special group of people, there was a man, going the wrong way. There you go. In this group of people, there was a man named Barnabas. He was known for being really generous, and he did something that was kind of unique. It's kind of different. He had a piece of land that he sold, and he took the money from the sale of that land and he gave it to the apostles. That's just another word for leaders. He gave it to the leaders. And he asked the leaders to give it to the people who needed it the most. And that made Barnabas feel really good inside. That's not why he did it, but it made him feel good because he knew that he was helping other people. Have you ever felt that feeling when you've shared something with somebody or you've done something nice for somebody? You know, again, that's not why you do it, but the smile that comes on their face just kind of makes you feel warm inside as well. That's what happens when we can help other people. Today, in our church, I'm going to hold this up here so you can see that. And if you want to move around so that you can see it a little closer, you're welcome to. Can you see that okay? It's like watching a little tiny, tiny TV. Today in our church, we do some of those same things. We try to follow the teachings of Jesus and try to live the way Jesus wanted us to live. Jubilee is kind of a funny word. When you Google it, you see this person all over the place. This is a Marvel character. Do you recognize this person? If you Google it, that's who you see, Jubilee. I can only imagine that she's joyful and happy and does some wonderful things. There's also a dessert called Cherry's Jubilee. I think somebody named it that because, you can see it, I just can't see it. There we go. A dessert called Cherry's Jubilee, and they probably named it that to make you feel good when you eat dessert, because it's something wonderful. It just must be something wonderful because it's Jubilee. Well, in our church, we have something called the Jubilee Fund, and we use that word to celebrate the wealth and the money that we have and the blessings that we have been given, and that we share that with others. So people in our church actually give money to this fund called the Jubilee Fund. And then people in our community who we don't even know, if maybe they lost their job and don't have enough money to pay their rent, they might come to our church, and people who volunteer in the church office on that day will listen to their story and give them money to help pay their rent. Or maybe they don't have enough money to pay for their food or their heating bill in the wintertime. And so we have enough, and we give to this Jubilee Fund, and then that helps the people in our community. And it's not just money we share, but it's things. There are people in our church who have given clothes, people even outside of our church who have given clothes, and household items, shoes, things like that. That's what's behind the panels that we're going to go look at. And we share it with people in our community who need clothing. There are some people who come from other countries, and they've traveled so far and so long that they don't have any clothes when they get here, except the clothes that they're wearing because they weren't able to bring them along. And before they have a chance to get a job and get money so that they can go to the store and buy clothes, they come up to our church balcony and get clothes out of there. That's one way that we help them. We also have furniture. This is a picture of our storage unit that we had to get because we have so much furniture, and before we have a chance to give it to the people who need it, we can store it in this room, and that's June and Alan and Joe who are kind of working with it. June works a lot with that. And they take it to other people's homes. This is Daniel delivering a dresser, and we have mattresses. We even have a company in Elkhart Bedding. We have a company who also donates the mattresses so that we can give them to other people. So it's not just our church, but it's catching that idea of giving to other people who are in need. It helps us to be friends with people that we didn't even know at the beginning. Just like the early church, we make sure that everyone has enough because we care about people. In addition to money and items, we can donate our time. All those things that I just mentioned, the clothing, the furniture, the mattresses, that takes volunteers and people who are donating their time to help make that happen. And Madeline prayed. Did you hear Madeline's prayer? She prayed for all of the people in the church who donate their time, the commissions, the people in the office, the people on the desk back there who volunteer on the computer. That's donating our time. Do you donate your time at home? Do you do things around the house sometimes? Clean your room, pick up some things every once in a while? Yeah, you'll probably do more of that as you get older too. Well, there's a place called Red Lake Indian Reservation, and back in 2021, they had a tornado, and it was devastating. All their buildings were crashed. They fell, and the whole community was just devastated. And it has taken them this long to rebuild, and they're still not done rebuilding. And there's a team of people from MDS, Mennonite Disaster Service, and that's the group that's there right now in Red Lake. And our MYFers, our high schoolers, are going to go there with those people in about 2 weeks and help volunteer. They're going to they're going to help put houses together. They might paint. They might help with some food. We'll have to check the website and see. They'll probably have a picture up on that website too with all of these people. And they're going to bring smiles to people's faces just because they're there showing that they care. They're volunteering their time. So next time you share something with your friends, family, classmates, or even somebody you don't know, you can remember the story of the people in the early church and our church today. And remember, it doesn't have to even be a thing that you can share. It can be a smile, a pat on the back, a compliment, a kind word. And when we share that love with our willing heart, we're going to make the world a better place. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for teaching us how to share and care for one another, just like the people in the early church. Help us to always be kind and generous, sharing our things, our time, and anything else people might need. Please help us remember that sharing is a way to show your love. Give us the courage to share from our hearts and to be honest and open-hearted in everything we do. Bless our families, friends, everyone in our church, and even the people we haven't met yet. Help us to follow the example of the early church, always making sure that everyone has enough and feels loved. Thank you for all the blessings you give us. Help us to use them to make the world a better place. Amen. And now our field trip. So now take a look at where you're going, right? Where you're going from here, and then look up there on the left of the screen because you're going to go back to your place from up there. So you'll either go around the balcony or come down here. But let's go on our field trip while they sing.